Welcome to another TikTok Tuesday. Today's video deals with the Antarctic Treaty, the United Nations logo, and emergency flight paths. Let's take a look, shall we? And real quick before we get started, I would like to thank today's sponsor, my wife, for letting me get this awesome mic. So hopefully, moving on, the audio will be less up and down between my videos and the videos that I am debunking.
This video will make you believe in the flat earth theory.
Highly doubt it, but let's go on.
We need to talk about this. So the theory goes that the earth isn't round, it's actually a flat piece of rock surrounded by Antarctica. It sounds crazy, but just listen to these facts that support it. Firstly, in the late 1950s, the Antarctica Treaty was signed by every single country. They all agreed to make pretty much all exploration on Antarctica illegal. Now, why would they do this unless they were hiding something?
First of all, no, the Antarctic Treaty was not signed by every nation in the world. It was signed by 12. Those governments are Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, the French Republic, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, the Union of South of Africa, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the United Kingdom of Great Britain, and Northern Ireland, as well as the United States of America. They signed the treaty on December 1st of 1959. He also says that the Antarctic Treaty bans any exploration in Antarctica. In fact, the Antarctic Treaty does quite the opposite. What the treaty does is prohibits any military presence within Antarctica, and prohibits any country from setting up base there. Article 1, Peaceful Purposes, states, Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only. There shall be prohibited inter alia any measure of military nature, such as the establishment of military bases and fortifications, the carrying out of military maneuvers, as well as the testing of any type of weapon. The present treaty shall not prevent the use of military personnel or equipment for scientific research or for any peaceful purpose. In that first article, it states that there will be no military fortifications or bases, but it does say that they may be used for scientific research or peaceful purposes. Article 2, Freedom of Scientific Investigation. Freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica and cooperation toward that end is applied during the International Geophysical Year. Shall continue, subject to the provisions of the present treaty. Basically saying any scientific investigations currently going on down there may continue as long as they are following the Antarctica Treaty going forward. Article 3 is a little bit longer, so I'll just sum up what it says. It says if you go down there for scientific reasons, share your results with everyone else, basically. If you would like to read it, go ahead and pause and read it. Article 4 talks about territorial sovereignty. Article 5 talks about nuclear activity, saying that any nuclear explosions or disposal of waste material is prohibited. Article 6 just says the area that the treaty covers. It is anything below the 60th latitudinal line. Article 7 just talks about inspections and how any other country within the treaty can come and inspect any other country's scientific research or bases that have been set up for scientific reasons, and it talks about what goes into those inspections. Article 8 just talks about the jurisdictions of the members within the treaty. Article 9 just talks about treaty meetings and what it takes for a new country to come into the Antarctic Treaty. Article 10 states that the signers of the treaty must be upheld by the things that are inside of the treaty. Article 11 talks about disputes between the countries. Article 12 outlines the process that a country needs to go through for modifications of the Antarctic Treaty. Article 13 talks about what it takes for a country to come into the Antarctic Treaty. And the last article, Article 14, talks about how the treaty is going to be translated into English, French, Russian, and Spanish, and housed in the United States, and then will be transmitted through certified copies to other governments of the signatory. So there you have it. Nothing in the Antarctic Treaty says that you can't go and explore there. In fact, it specifically says that Antarctica will be only used for scientific reasons or non-military reasons. Anyone that tells you that you can't just go to Antarctica is either severely misinformed or lying to you to try and push flat Earth.
Now, around that same time, the United Nations was founded, and their logo is literally the flat Earth with the continent surrounded by Antarctica. You cannot tell me that's a coincidence.
The United Nations logo is not a flat Earth map. It is I'm going to get this wrong, it is azimuthal equidistant projection. And it only goes to the 60th parallel, which does not include Antarctica at all. And this is to promote unity between all of the countries. Your typical map that you see of the Earth, a lot of the different continents and land masses are incorrect sizes. For instance, Greenland is much, much bigger on your typical map than it actually is. It is also to not put any country above any other country. On your typical map, the United States is on the left and the other countries are on the right. And that makes it so when you're reading left to right, you see the United States first. It's to prevent any kind of bias towards the map and to show unity between all of the nations.
Now let's talk about the fact that it's illegal for flights to fly over Antarctica.
Okay, let's hear what you have to say about it being illegal to fly over Antarctica.
Now, a few years ago on a flight from the Philippines to
Oh, you're not going to talk about it. Flying over Antarctica, not illegal, just dangerous. Most commercial flights have a policy not to fly over Antarctica because they have to stay within a certain limit of a commercial runway that they can make an emergency landing on. And there are very few commercial landing strips on Antarctica that the bigger intercontinental planes can land on. So they generally don't fly over it. Also, there can be a lot of complications when flying in that cold of weather. And there's really just no need for it based off of the flight paths going the other direction.
Now, a few years ago on a flight from the Philippines to California, they had to make an emergency stop because a woman's water broke. Her water broke towards the beginning, so you'd think they'd just turn around and go back to the Philippines, right? Nope, they ended up in Alaska. And as you can see from this photo, that makes no sense. But if you look at it on a flat Earth, it does.
Now, the reason that this diversion doesn't make sense is because when you look at a flat map of the Earth, the continents are distorted and not in the correct placement, making it look like flying to LA is really not that much further than flying to Alaska. But let's take a look at what it looks like on a actual globe model of the Earth. You can see on a flight from the Philippines to the United States, an emergency landing in Alaska is much closer than to the United States. This is because a lot of this empty area is not shown on a map because when you peel an orange, you can't make it lay flat without some distortion. So when you look at the flight plans on a flat map, they don't always make sense, but when you look at it in an actual globe model, you can see that they are following the curvature of the Earth in their emergency landings.
NASA tried to debunk this theory by live streaming a car into space, but a glitch was caught on camera. That's a conspiracy.
What's interesting about this last point is the video that he has behind his head is a video by Nerdist debunking this exact claim. And what's talked about is that it's not CGI because it looks really bad. If it were fake, it would look a lot better. That's what Elon Musk was trying to say when he said this.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
If it were CGI, it would look a lot better. And again, like always, if you think that I am incorrect, let me know down in the comments and I will address your claims.